Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's Diana if you're new here, and today I'm going to be talking about 10 things that I learned at college. Just kind of some advice, some tips, stuff that I really wish I knew beforehand and I kind of figured out later on in the years, like my junior, senior year. So hopefully these tips help you. I have them all written out in this notebook. I'm super excited to jump in. Hopefully this isn't too long of a video, but I got some good stuff for you. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you are not already, and follow me on Instagram. And that is everything that I have to say, so let's get started. For my first tip, this sounds super basic, really like not even a tip, but I feel like it's commonly overlooked, and that is to create a schedule and a routine. Now, this comes in super handy because if you create a routine for yourself, you're more likely to follow it along when you're feeling tired or when you are unmotivated or anything like that. If you have a strict schedule and a routine that you follow, you're like, okay, it's 2 o'clock, I have this class, and then after I study every single time. So you're kind of in a routine. This is something that I like to do right before a semester starts. Reflect on everything that you want to fit into your schedule, whether that be working out or a Bible study or a club, a hobby, intramurals, a sport. Figure out what you want to be involved in and then kind of place everything into your schedule according to your school schedule. If you designate time for it and you have it laid out in a schedule, you are more likely to do it than if you're just like, okay, I'll do it when I have time. When that can be 2 days from now, that can be 2 weeks from now. You could just consistently put off the task that you want to get done and it'll just never get done. This was especially helpful if you were someone who liked to kind of take the weekends off and, you know, maybe go to a party, or if it's football season, go to a football game, tailgating, all that fun stuff. Setting a routine and a schedule ensures that you get the work that you need to get done beforehand, so you have that free time on the weekends to do whatever you wanted. So creating a schedule, create a routine for yourself. That is tip number 1. The second tip that I have is gonna sound a little weird. This is probably one of the biggest tips that I have for you, and that is to make friends with your professors and to utilize their office hours. Now, if I could tell freshman year Diana to make friends with my professors, I would be like, no. But later on in my college years, making friends with my professors was probably the smartest thing I think I've ever done, because your professors ultimately want to see you succeed. If you take the time out of your day to go see them in office hours, to make an appointment with them, you know, even just emailing them, your professor can see your name, know that you're in the class. Anything as simple as that can benefit you tremendously. And this can be especially helpful if you are struggling in a particular class. I found that making friends with my professors when I was in chemistry courses was the best thing I could ever done for myself, because I am not strong in chemistry. That's just not something I'm good at. I don't really understand it. I don't retain it very well. I utilized office hours all the time in chemistry, and it was one of the best things for me because I got the help that I needed. I didn't have to be scared talking in a lecture room full of like hundreds of people, and my professor saw my face, he saw my name. So at the end of the semester, when you're looking for a bump, if you're borderline, they are more likely to help people who took time out of their day to talk to them and to actively seek help when they needed it. Making friends with your professors, even if you don't want to like make friends with them, go to their office hours. I know it's super intimidating to speak up if you have a question in a lecture room full of hundreds of kids and you don't want anyone to think like, oh, she's dumb, oh, what a stupid question. I get it. I don't like to talk in a full lecture room either. It's scary, but don't let your questions go unanswered. Tip number 2, make friends with your professors. And another thing that I noticed was when I was making friends with my professors, those were the classes that I did the best in. I got higher grades. I really was retaining the information. I was having fun with the class. I was enjoying going to class. Make friends with your professors, utilize their office hours, and that was tip number 2. Tip number 3 is to get a job. And I know a lot of kids might think that their schedule doesn't allow it, or if you are on an athletic sport, I know a lot of sports don't allow you to get jobs, so you're kind of in a pickle there. But if you are not on some sort of athletic team and you're kind of just doing your own thing, try getting a job. I noticed a significant increase in my grades and productivity when I got a job. It made me more productive and more organized because I realized that I had to get my studying done and I had to do my homework before I got to work, otherwise I wouldn't have time to study for it. So it really pushed me and forced me to become this more organized student so that I got the stuff done that I needed to get done. I think that getting a job creates responsibility. It increases your organization and productivity. Some students might not have the luxury of being able to get a job if you are involved in athletics, but if you do have the opportunity, definitely give it a shot. If you're nervous about schoolwork, definitely just take like the first week or two to test out how you're doing in school to see if you really do have some downtime for a job. But another tip that I have going off of that is to get a campus job, because most campus jobs not only have shorter shifts, but they also are extremely flexible with your schedule, which is what you want in a job when you're going to be a full-time student as well. I got really lucky with my job. I had a really great job. It paid really well. The flexibility was insane. I worked with all these students, so switching shifts and getting shifts covered was super easy because we were all in the same boat, and there were so many of us that I really never struggled with my academics and with my work, because it just never overlapped. If you find a job that has downtime, more often than not, you can be working and studying at the same time, which sounds really weird, but I know if you're working at like a library or if you're working at like the front desk at the rec center, usually you're not going to be doing a whole lot during your shift, so you can definitely pull out like a textbook or notebook and do some studying while you're working. Really quick, just kind of a side note, don't let your work overwhelm you in school. So if you're finding that your job is too much, you're falling behind in your classes, you are not getting the studying done, your grades are kind of plummeting, take the action that you need. Of course, with a job is responsibility, but you're also responsible to know when you need to say enough is enough. You are at school to get an education, and I know getting a job really helps if you want some extra cash, to help start paying your loans off, or if you need some money for rent or groceries or anything like that. A job is super beneficial, but your first and foremost job is your schoolwork. Like, you are there to be a student, you are there to get an education, and don't let work get in the way of what you are truly there to do. Quick little side note, you might hear me say that multiple times in this video, but that's something that I truly believe in. Tip number 3, get a job. Tip number 4 that I have, and I wish looking back on my college career that I did more of, that is to get involved. Now, there are so many ways you can get involved at your college campus. It's ridiculous, and I feel kind of dumb for not taking advantage of all the different things that the campus had to offer. You can get involved with Greek life, with clubs, with intramurals, with athletics, with religious clubs. There's literally so many things that you can do on campus, and this is a great way to not only build like a social network and make friends and make connections for anything outside of school. So let's say you join like a pre-physical therapy club. Well, you're getting exposure to people who are in the field. They might give you recommendations. Use them to find shadowing hours or write you letters of recommendation for when you are applying to pre-PT schools. Being involved in anything on campus is super beneficial for you, and it also is a great resume builder. I know a lot of the times when you're applying to graduate schools or even to jobs, they want to see what your hobbies are. They want to see what you did in college. They want to see what you were involved in. It builds a character, it builds responsibility, it shows time management. There's so many different layers of how getting involved can help you in the future. Getting involved, huge tip, definitely do it. I wish I did more of it when I was in school, but hopefully you guys learned from this. Moving on, this is probably one of my most controversial tips that I have, but I find that as I got older, the more that this rang true for me, and that is that parties aren't everything. Now, I know that when you first go to college, maybe your freshman, sophomore year, it's exciting. You're away from your parents, you're away from home, you're living on your own. It's the most exciting thing out there, and trust me, I was there. I did the exact same thing. I wanted to go out, I wanted to go to frat parties, I wanted to do this and that. Like, I was just living my best life. But let me tell you something, the partying gets old so fast. And I know this also depends on the type of person that you are. If you enjoy doing that and you really see no problem in going out and having fun, that's totally fine. But personally, I got sick of going out so fast that it wasn't fun for me anymore. It starts getting expensive, buying drinks or paying for covers to get into bars. This was probably the biggest one. Buying outfits to go out in. Let me tell you something, your bank account isn't gonna survive, my friend. I just just think that there's a time and a place for partying, and for me, I associate the partying stages with like the freshman sophomore year because you're brand new to it, you're really excited to try it out, it's fun, it's an awesome way to meet people, but you know, the drinking, the partying, the hookups, all of that gets old so fast, and that's just not a lifestyle that I see to be sustainable throughout your college career. So I definitely wasn't the type of person to be going out, you know, Friday, Saturday, every single weekend. That just wasn't who I was. I didn't like it. It wasn't fun for me. Again, this is my most controversial tip that I have, but I feel like the friends that I've talked to, this is kind of the same conclusion that we've all come to. I thought it would be beneficial to throw this in there. Okay, talking a lot. The 6th and 7th tip kind of go together, and they kind of go back to the making friends with your professor tip. The 6th tip is to make a friend in every single class that you have. And this friend doesn't need to be your best friend. They don't need to be someone that you text every single day or Snapchat or even follow on any social media. It just needs to be a person that when you go to class, maybe you sit next to them, or at the very least, you get their number or some way to contact them, an email. So if you have questions, if you need help, if you want to study with them, you have someone in your back pocket. I always made it a point to make at least one friend in every single class because I knew that at some point in the semester, I would need help. It truly does make a difference when you are studying with someone who's studying the same thing. It makes it easier to talk to professors if you do go to office hours. You know, it's not as intimidating. Making a friend in every single class is so important, especially if you know the class that you're taking has been known to be a hard and challenging class. Make sure that like during the first week of classes, make friends with someone, and they can be as simple as like the person sitting next to you. If you're just like, hey, my name is blah blah blah, do you want to exchange numbers so we have someone to talk to? Make a friend. And another thing that I wanted to talk about is when you're in your major, especially when you start getting to your more advanced level classes in your major, so junior, senior year, you start seeing the same faces all the time, because if there's kids in the same major, the same grade as you, you're bound to have multiple classes together every semester. So you start seeing familiar faces in all of your classes, which is awesome because it makes it easier to talk to them like, hey, we had this class last semester, we are in the same class this semester, you know, let's exchange numbers, let's talk. And again, I did the best in the classes when I had a friend in it because I had someone to talk to, I had someone ask questions. If they had questions, I answered them. Tip number 7. Again, this piggybacks off of tip number 6, but that is to find people who have taken your class before. This is one of the biggest tips I could give you aside from making friends with professors, because this is what saved me in so many classes. And like I said before, with, you know, making friends with someone, you'll start seeing people over and over again. You're gonna start knowing people, you're gonna start meeting people who are in the same major as you, and finding people who have taken the classes before you is the best thing you can do for yourself, okay? I have found in my entire college career that professors either don't change their course semester to semester, or if they do change the course, they change it ever so slightly that the foundation of the class and the assignments and the homework and the quizzes is all the same, just with like a slight variation. How this comes in handy is if you find someone that's taking your classes, ask for their notes, ask for their quizzes, ask for their assignments, get anything that you can from that class, because I'm not gonna lie, I've seen a lot of classes that literally word for word verbatim use the same assignments, use the same quizzes, use the same exam, literally the same thing semester to semester. So this was my saving grace in some of my hardest classes, because if the professor even just changed it a little bit, I had something to kind of base my knowledge of how the professor's asking his questions, how he formats his exams or his quizzes, or what the assignments look like. All of that information can be so beneficial for you, and this is something that I did every semester in my college career. Hopefully you've already experienced this. If you're in college and you're watching this, hopefully you've already learned that tip, because I don't know how I would have passed some of my classes had I not had this information in my back pocket. It seriously is a lifesaver. One of the most useful things that I wanted to know from a class is how they grade. Do they scale their test? Do they not scale their test? Do they offer extra credit? Do they not? Information like that is so helpful, because This will ultimately alter how you do and how you perform in the class. Get all the information that you can. Again, all these people are going to start networking together. Tip number 7, do not sleep on this tip. I promise you it will help you find people who have taken your class before you do it. Moving on to tip number 8, and that is that studying with friends is not always the smartest thing to do. Now, I know this kind of contradicts my earlier tip. There's a difference between studying with a peer and studying with like your best friend or your boyfriend, because I found so many times when I was studying with people who were really close to me, who I was really good friends with, that I just could not study because we would be talking. One conversation turns into like a 30-minute conversation and you're not studying anymore, you're just conversing. I need to be in an environment and be around people who I know that I can get work done with. If you're studying with a peer from a class that you met, more than often than not, you're probably not close enough to be talking about gossip. You're not going to be talking about boy drama, you know, girl drama, the party on the weekend. You're really not gonna be talking about that because you're not as close with this person as like some of your best friends or your roommates or your neighbors. Be careful because you don't want to sacrifice valuable studying time and then let it go to waste because you were goofing off while you're studying. It may take some trial and error if you don't know yet, but if you know, don't put yourself in a situation where you need to be studying and you choose to study with someone who you just can't. Piggybacking off of that, tip number 9 is to not procrastinate studying. And I know that this is something that I think everyone could say for themselves, but this is something that I did not do very well. And I think one of the biggest reasons that I did not do very well at studying is because I assumed how I study was the same way that my friends were studying or that my boyfriend was studying. And let me tell you something, we don't study the same way, okay? The way that my boyfriend studies, he can just crash course everything the night before, learn it, and still do well on the exam, where I cannot do that. I cannot cram the night before and expect to do well on an exam. That does not work for me. I have done really bad on exams trying to do it this way. It just doesn't work for me. I'm the kind of person that I need to be studying way in advance, otherwise I can expect my grade to be less than pleasing. Schedule in when you want to study and actually do it. Discipline yourself to go and study when you know you need to be studying. Just don't procrastinate your studying because you will not feel good when you walk out of the exams that you know you just failed. Learn from my mistakes. Do not procrastinate. I know it's so easy to just lay in bed and be like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. When you tell yourself that you will wake up and study in the morning, you have already failed the exam. You're not gonna wake up and study early. You're just not gonna do it. I told myself that so many times and you will not do it. Discipline yourself, sit down, get studying done. Even if it's just like 10-15 minutes, it kind of starts to become familiar information in your brain. If you're just familiarizing yourself with the material, that alone can be super beneficial, especially on like a multiple choice exam when you know it enough to recognize. Don't procrastinate, don't procrastinate, don't procrastinate. My last and final tip that I have is to just enjoy college. Your college years truly are the best of your life. I had the best college experience. Overall, college was one of the best times of my life. Like, I had such a great time. I met the best people. I met my boyfriend. Nebraska truly has a place in my heart that I never would have thought I would ever say. At the end of the day, you are meeting a huge amount of people that can be so vastly different from you, but at the same time they can become some of the best and most important people in your lives. I truly believe when people say that college is the best years of your life, because it truly is. It honestly goes so fast that I can't even believe that I graduated. I feel like I still am like a little freshman, you know. I still have so much to learn, I still have so much to do, and it's gone in like that. Take the time to enjoy it, but at the end of the day, don't forget why you're there. Enjoy everything about it. Enjoy the campus, enjoy the clubs, the opportunities, enjoy the football games, enjoy the parties if that's something that you're into. Maximize the most that you can. Enjoy it. Find a balance in your life that can accommodate everything that you want to get done. I promise that if you balance your life and you plan for the events and the tasks that you want to get done, you truly can. Do not think that if you're working a job or if you're doing X, Y, and Z that you can't get good grades, because that is not true. I did the best academically when I had a job and I was working 25 plus hours a week. My senior year, I was taking 18 and 19 credits and working a part-time job, and I still got on the dean's list. It is possible to do it all if you truly set your mind to it. That is enough of me talking. Hopefully you found some of these tips useful, beneficial, but if you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. If you have any videos that are college related, please be sure to leave them down in the comment section and I can for sure do them for you. But that is everything that I have today, and go Big Red.